Families are supposed to be built on trust. But mine was built on secrets. One so heavy that when they finally surfaced they nearly broke me. Growing up, it was just my mom and me. She always said my father had left before I was born, that he wasn't a good man, that I was better off without him. And I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She worked 2 jobs, sacrificed everything, and always said, "It's just you and me against the world, sweetheart." Those words became my armor. I never questioned her. Not until I turned 25. It began on my 25th birthday. Mom gave me an old wooden box. Inside were a few photographs, a gold locket, and a letter. All things she said belonged to my father. The letter was addressed to her. The handwriting was neat, almost elegant. It said, "I'll wait for you at the lake. Please tell her the truth when she's old enough." At first I didn't think much of it. But something about that line, "Tell her the truth," wouldn't leave my mind. I asked Mom that night, what truth did he mean? She froze. Then smiled too quickly. "Oh, nothing, honey. Your father was dramatic. You know how people get when they're emotional." But I didn't know. I never got the chance. That night after she went to bed, I took the box again and looked closer. One of the photos, a picture of my mom holding me as a baby, had a man's reflection in the mirror behind her. He was standing in the background, smiling like he belonged there. And suddenly, I wasn't sure if anything I'd been told was real. I couldn't sleep. The next morning I drove to our old town library and went through the public archives. My mom's maiden name, my father's supposed name, Mark Lewis. But there was no record of a Mark Lewis living in our town at all. No birth certificate. No address. No marriage license. It was like he didn't exist. Then I checked something else. Hospital records from the year I was born. And that's when I saw it. My birth certificate had my mother's name, but the father section wasn't blank. It had a name. Daniel Harper. I felt dizzy. Who was Daniel Harper? When I confronted Mom that night, she didn't yell. She just sat down, sighed, and whispered, "I was hoping you'd never find out." She told me Daniel was her ex-husband, my father, and that he had hurt her. She said she left him to protect me. But something still didn't add up. Because when I looked up Daniel Harper online, I found his obituary. He had died 5 years ago in another state. And under "survived by," it listed a wife and a daughter named Claire. My name. My birthday. My mother's maiden name. It wasn't a coincidence. There was a number listed for his law firm. I called it. A woman answered, her voice soft, uncertain. When I told her my name, there was a long silence. Then she said, "I was wondering when you'd find me." It was his other daughter. Her name was Emily. She told me Daniel had been searching for me for years. That he sent birthday cards every year until he passed. Cards my mother had apparently kept hidden. I asked, my voice shaking, "Why didn't he come back for me?" Emily sighed. "He tried." She filed a restraining order. Said he was dangerous. But he wasn't, Claire. He was just heartbroken. When I went home that night, I found Mom in the kitchen humming like nothing had happened. I dropped the printouts on the table. The obituary, the court record, the letter. "Why?" I whispered. "Why did you lie to me for 25 years? She looked at me, tears already in her eyes, and said, "Because he loved you more than me." I didn't understand. She went on, "He wanted custody. He wanted to take you away. I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't lose you." For a moment I wanted to scream. But then I just stood there, realizing I'd spent my whole life protecting her from a story that wasn't even true. I drove to the lake mentioned in the letter, the place he said he'd wait. It was quiet, untouched, surrounded by pine trees. And for the first time I cried, not for the father I never knew, but for the years I lost believing a lie. I wore the locket Mom had given me that birthday. Inside was a tiny picture, his face and mine side by side. He'd been there all along. I just didn't know where to look. Mom and I still talk, but it's not the same. There's love, but also distance. The kind that comes when truth finally steps into a room full of lies. Sometimes I visit his grave. I tell him I'm okay. That I forgive him for not being there, and maybe someday I'll forgive her too. Families lie to protect. But sometimes those lies protect no one. I learned that the hard way. And now, whenever I look in the mirror, I don't just see her eyes or her smile. I see his too, and I finally know who I am. Sometimes the deepest betrayals don't come from strangers. They come from the people who raised us. But even after a lifetime of lies, the truth always finds a way to surface. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more emotional stories about family, love, and finding peace after betrayal.